fraud. It's like a dirty word.
They target us.
Yeah.
They love it. The money coming in, the money going out. Timing is crucial.
Oh, 100%.
Don't click on anything that's in that email. Don't call back a phone number from that email.
We're dealing with high dollar amounts.
It's something to really, really worry about.
Game's almost over. At that point,
Good afternoon and welcome to the Real Estate Rumble. My name is John Smith with Realty Executives. I'm here with my tag team partner, Matt the Bulldog Bollinger. Matt, we are sitting in the room with two legends of the real estate industry. I mean, to the point where if you know somebody by one name in this industry.
Like Prince and Madonna.
Exactly. So why don't you introduce our guests for us?
Gretchen Cochran and Heather Chumbler-Rich.
And they're both from?
First American Title.
Notice I didn't say that because I stumble on that all the time. So welcome, ladies. How are you today?
great.
So I think today is the day we talk about fraud. Fraud. It's like a dirty word in the real estate agent, right? Industry. Whether it's from your email or whether it's from somebody stealing your identity or trying to steal your title, it's something to really, really worry about. Can you kind of make me understand why it is so important to be worried about fraud during an entire real estate transaction, not just from day one?
Or how big of a problem it is.
Yeah, one or the other works.
I think real estate is just for fraudsters. Real estate alone, we're dealing with high dollar amounts, and that's why it's they target us.
Yeah.
They love it. The money coming in, the money going out. People don't buy and sell homes every day. They don't know what to watch for, so we're an easy target.
Lots of wires.
Yes, easy target, high dollar.
A lot of wires to get crossed, a lot of misinformation out there. Mm-hmm. Would you tell me who you think would be a candidate? I'm sure it's mostly everybody, but it seems like they're targeting certain age demographics. From the research I've done, it looks like the elderly are pointed out more than somebody else because they're a little bit, in my opinion, maybe a little bit more trusting, maybe not technology driven and really may not understand that. So how can we protect a different generation who's not used to the technology that's here? How do we protect them?
I would say communication. We just have to keep relaying that this is a problem, that it's apparent, and as we move forward in any transaction, any communication, just talk about their emails or communication or authentication. There's a lot of safeguards that we have in place that we need to just make sure that they are aware.
Yeah, we have at least three different times during a transaction that both on the representation side, so the broker side, or the title and escrow side, that people sign wire fraud disclosures.
Well, yeah, if there's a lender involved, there's a wire fraud there too. And I like the idea of putting that wire fraud throughout the transaction.
Yeah.
That way that conversation is had and you can keep reminding them. Matt and I had a conversation this morning before this that generation is just not technology driven and they don't care about technology. Like we see somebody go out, even relatives, to go out and buy a brand new smart TV, but yet they hang it up on the wall because somebody tells them that's where it needs to go.
Right. Hook it up to cable.
But they hook it up to a cable box, right? They're worried about where the plugins go or where the cable box inserted when really you could put that stuff anywhere. So it's really just not a priority because they just don't understand. Sometimes that's the handshake generation. They're used to deals by handshake and people's word. Very
more trusting than people who've grown up with technology in their face since the beginning.
Is there consumer education for that? I mean, I know there's some classes some loans require. I wonder if they provide education.
I just on a spinoff, I wanted to get my stat right, but the Certif ID 2025 State of Wire Fraud study revealed that 52% of home buyers and sellers were unaware of wire fraud. They're just unaware. So going back to the whole
that's just amazing because they see it so many times.
Yeah.
But I think maybe I would say 52% of people are not explaining what that actually is.
Or would
they're
you
just
say
signing another document?
And they're not reading.
They're not reading it.
They're not reading
It's
emails.
probably both.
Yeah.
Because I know on the bottom of all your emails, on the bottom of ours, it says cautious about wire fraud. Let's talk, something to get that ball rolling. But what I was kind of hoping to find out is whether or not there was education provided by the industry for the consumer. I don't know of any.
It's left on our shoulders. I mean, it's up to you. It's up to us to notify them or make them aware from the very beginning. I mean, we get to the point now where we have them sign off at closing, but, we're at the end of the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Game's almost over. At that point, they're
You're
laughing
within
a lot of
3
times. They're like,
days.
well, you've told me this 15 times now, but that means they understand it. But another thing, too, to go back to what you're asking, the telephone. God forbid we all pick up the telephone.
Yeah.
Right.
That's just a huge, especially when you're dealing with the older generations or the generations that they're overlooking this or they don't realize the extent of a $16 billion industry every year that fraud is now.
Don't get me started about real estate agents that text and text only and refuse to pick up the phone and call anybody. I mean, I think the best weapon you have for your consumer is the education purpose. And I don't care if you have to sit down for an hour to 2 hours to make sure they understand that if somebody calls you and changes your wiring instructions at the last minute,
You should probably check on
you should probably call us before you send any money.
We do have those conversations with everybody. If you get in, John's good about this, but if you get any phone call or an email, call us first. We'll verify it with your escrow officer and make sure that is legitimate and needs to happen. If not, then it could wipe you out.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, so who does the responsibility fall on at that point? Okay. So the consumer, let's say it's an all cash deal. They get a phone call, and excuse me, Gretchen, this is not you, but they say, hey, Gretchen had to go to the hospital really quick for her family. She had an emergency. Betty Lou's going to step in. She needs you to change some numbers. Here's one of the routing numbers because she has a specific account. Do I sound like a fraudster? Okay. She has a specific account that she works on. That's how we're going to get it done today. And so then they go, well, I'm supposed to call you back to confirm, right? Because that's one thing. And then they pick up the phone, and that person answers the phone. First American title, So how do we prevent that? That's like a wolf laying in the grass.
It is. You got to go with your gut. I mean, if it comes down to it, then they need to pick up the phone and call you, question it. We close a day late, but do not let that money go because once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, and I don't think, there is things in the contract to cure somebody if they have them to hold back the close of escrow. They got 3 days. So 3 days is time for us to figure out what's going on. Most of the time, nobody's going to get cured if we think there's fraud involved.
Right.
But we're going to be able to throw flags up in the air, slow the process down, and do the research on who exactly called you.
So here's another thing I would say, and it goes back to kind of an old school way of doing things, but if you are local with where you're signing, bring in certified funds.
That's right.
Bring in a cashier's check, bring it in. Then the wire that goes back out to the say it's a seller, the wire that goes back out to them, they're sitting with you when they fill that information out on how they want their funds. So that's pretty cut and dry and clear, and you guys control that part of it that goes back out to their bank. But as a buyer, bring in the old cashier's check or something.
Pick up a check. I'd say if you're local, pick up a check. That's just me.
Yeah.
All right?
Right.
Don't bother wiring it. But I want to get back to the responsibility. Who has to flip the bill when the consumer has lost their money? Is it the consumer?
It is a consumer loss.
Yes.
The party sending the funds is the responsible party.
Because they've authorized
So if you have
that
sent me your
wire.
life savings of $250,000, and if it's in the fraudster's hands, you are now out your life savings.
And in order to recover that money financially, is it up to the consumer to pay for the resources to recover that money, or does the government have something in
contact the
place?
FBI? What is the process there?
So they're supposed to be contacting the authorities and then their bank, and yes, also FBI. I was actually just looking at a stat. In FBI's 2024 Internet Crime Report says that in 2024 fraud losses were $16.6 billion, which is a 33% increase from 2023.
And that's only going to increase.
Only going to increase
because the technology is getting to the point where it just seems more legit with all the AI technology.
And I want to make sure that I state that it's not just people of an elderly age.
No.
It's everybody.
Everybody.
Okay. But it seems like they're predators.
They're targets.
They're targets.
They are
right?
targets.
But at the same time, the younger generation who's grown up with all that technology, they feel more comfortable transacting things online.
But Matt, they're the ones that don't verify.
Exactly.
They're the ones that are so comfortable with the technology that they just send it off, even though it says call first, talk to somebody first. They let it go.
So there's a double-edged sword there.
Yeah. Another great thing about our company with First American Title is that our bank name is First American Trust. That's where our transactions happen, is with our bank. And so if there's ever a time where I even had this real estate agent called me and said, you know what, can I just confirm with you, because my client, my buyer, just got a call saying that we're changing the banks. And I said, hold on, are they sending it to First American Trust? And she said, no. And I said, stop everything. We need to stop.
Yeah.
And so that makes it easier for our customers to know that the name of our company is also the same name as our bank, and we will not change that.
So
another great reason to work with us.
So it's funny, speaking of picking up the phone, Matt's had a recent experience with the possible fraud, and actually I'm going to let him tell the story, because it had not only had something to do with a past client, and it was a friend as well, and which in turn it would be a future client. So Matt, want to tell your fraud situation?
Yeah, so it was not a wire fraud situation, or at least it hadn't gotten to that point yet, but it was deed fraud is how I would, I guess, classify it. So I had a client that I had sold a vacant lot to that they were going to build on, and this was a couple years ago that they bought the property. So they're in the process of working with the architect, working with the contractors, getting all of that stuff in order. And I get a phone call, and he says, hey, the neighbors have told me that there's people walking all over my property lately. So I Googled my address, and I found it for sale. And not only was it for sale, but it was under contract. So another agent had listed the property. I did speak to that agent, and they said on his behalf, because it was not his intent to sell the property that he owned, and he owned it outright. That's important. There's no mortgage on it or no loan. And the agent said, but I have a copy of driver's license. I have all this other documentation. So my client still lived out of state with the intent of eventually ending up in Arizona. And so it took 30 minutes to fix it at that point. But I think it brings up another issue of deed fraud and not wire fraud, where they target specifically, at least from my understanding, vacant land, out-of-state owners, and no loans on the property. So free and clear properties. It seems like that's a target. Are you seeing that also?
Very much so.
Yeah. Well, so this is so the agent was a little combative when we broke the news. Obviously, was
because they thought
crushed.
that they had done the right thing.
Yeah, they thought they'd done the right
identity
thing.
and whatever.
They verified the driver's license. Now, I don't know about any of you, but when I was not 21, I got a fake driver's license, and I was 33 on it, which was pretty funny because I probably looked 12. But I mean, I'm not saying anybody in this room had a fake driver's license, but what I'm saying is you can get a fake driver's license anywhere.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Without any problem. There needs to be something better in place. And I'm talking industry-wide, not just on you guys, right? Because it falls on us just as much as it falls on you, unless we send the outgoing money. But what I'm saying is we can all talk about fraud, but when do we put anti-fraud in action, I guess? What is our defense? And I think as an industry we kind of have a responsibility to kind of join in the fight.
I think knowing the red flags is one. So like I just said, if you've got an out-of-state owner, it's free and clear, and it's vacant land. So you're not going to have to, as a fraudster, fight somebody who's living in a house. That's too much work, right? So they go for the one that's vacant. The person lives out of state. They can easily target that person and try to. And they listed it under what he paid for it. That was the other thing. So that was another red flag that I didn't bring up before. I think that as an agent on our side of it, if you see all of those things in place and it's an out-of-state person that's calling you to list it, I think that there has to be more steps in place to verify that that's the person that. And you can go to the tax records and find out exactly where their tax bill is going.
Right.
and find that person and reach out to him. In this case, it was easy because he called me because I was the agent that represented him. He's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Well, I hope you didn't list it with somebody else." He goes, "No, I wouldn't." But he didn't have any idea, and if his neighbors hadn't said, "There's people all over the property."
There's another one too, is that they want to communicate through WhatsApp.
Yes.
What's that? Yeah,
And also, don't put us up for sale sign on the property.
Oh, that's another.
Yeah.
So our message from our standpoint is we just ask our agents to please know your customers. Please know your customers. If you're getting a phone call like that, vet your customers. Try to get their identification. Also, call them randomly. See if you can FaceTime them. Do they make themselves available? There's so many checks and balances that we can do also internally for checking who are they, what other properties do they have, where are they nationally, is it matching up? Just talk to them. And
if you saw those 5 red flags, you'd probably, as an agent, just go, "Oh yeah, I'm not interested."
Yeah.
But the problem is, they just go down the line. And eventually they're going to find somebody that maybe is not as aware, and they're going to list the property.
Oh, I think it's very easy to find somebody that's not aware. The stat that most, like top 2% of the agents do all the business.
Oh, yeah.
The rest of them are just so happy to get a deal come across their phone, they jump in face first and hit the bottom of the pool.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, okay? So I think, and real estate agents will probably hate me for this, but what the heck? I think we need to provide more education on our side. I think
agree.
we need, I don't know if it's a video somebody has to watch and they sign off on it. I don't know if it just needs to be something. And I think it needs to be shown to every single person that buys or sells a house. And that way they're totally aware. I mean, it could be, "Oh, meet Jane." Jane buys a house and she has her life savings. She's so excited. I mean, it could be something that silly.
Yes.
But
we have it.
do you have it?
Yeah, we have
we
it.
need to see it.
I'm going to show it to you right after this
and
time.
then we need to see it. And you know what? If you give him the link, he'll put it on the end of this
It's
video
great.
so everybody
It's great.
can see it.
Yeah.
Because if there is something out there and you have it and we can use it, we would love to attach it to our emails.
I'll tell you what, our company does such a great job on fraud. We're always doing podcasts on fraud also, just being aware. I have another stat here. More than 9,300 real estate related complaints filed, totaling over 173 million in reported losses. This was for the 2024 FBI Internet Crime Report. So more than 9,300 real estate related complaints, over 173
My
million.
goodness. Can
You hear all the
Can you
ads all
buy
the
insurance
time.
anymore
Well,
for internet fraud? Or
So
anything like
I
that?
don't know.
That's a
but
great
this is what you hear it on the radio all the time, all the ads for like house stealing or whatever. Like now it's actually
Yes.
out there in like the mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that really, they're probably just pulling like title reports and making sure that everything hasn't been transferred. I don't know what the process is.
There's more and more coming out now that we're coming with more safeguards just because we have to be ahead of the fraudsters.
Well, and you are a bank.
But see, that's what's unfortunate to me, and kind of you say to be ahead, but I feel like we're always behind the game because we're trying to come up with these means in which to attack all of this, but it's because it's already happened.
Yeah, true.
And that's what John's saying, you want to educate people ahead of time, but unfortunately, it always seems like they're one step ahead of us.
There's a new fraud, a new scam.
I mean, you had mentioned cashier's checks, but we've all been doing this a long time. 10, 15 years, we had an issue with cashier's checks where there were fraudulent checks. Don't bring us cashier's checks anymore. Wire everything. So then we started to have everybody wire. So they're always one step ahead.
Oh. So, hey, it's time for our halfway break. So we're talking with Heather Chumbler-Rich and Gretchen Cochran from First American Title. We'll be back in 5. Welcome back to the Real Estate Rumble. We're here with our special guest from First American, Heather and Gretchen, who has some amazing things for us to learn about as far as fraud. And one thing I want to talk about, Matt, that we haven't brought up is how AI will actually affect the real estate business, whether it's on the title side or even on the sales time. On our break, you were saying some pretty amazing things that made me ponder and think that to bring it back up. What's your thoughts?
Well, what I was saying was that a couple of years ago, they were saying that people aren't going to need real estate agents, and another thing that they did was say that buyers' representation was going to change, et cetera, et cetera. They were saying essentially like what was going to happen was that buyer and seller were going to be able to negotiate real estate transactions with each other and directly and all online.
Interesting.
Could you imagine the fraud and the mess that would happen if people didn't have representation that worked in that industry every day? It hasn't changed, and I think it what's happening in terms of the fraud part has actually driven people to professionals that work in the industry all the time to either have somebody that's looking out for them or to shift a little bit of the liability there. So I think that it's, if anything, it's going to drive people more to working with agents that can represent them well.
I heard stories of people using AI to mask who they look like.
Oh, 100%.
You know, putting somebody's face over the top of their face. Yeah. So to me, I'm not gonna. The amount of money we're talking about, it would ruin somebody. Right. Mm-hmm. Even at the lowest price point here, somebody saved their money to buy their house of their dream, and it's gone in a flash. Mm-hmm. And you don't get your house. Yep. That would just crush somebody's world. Right. So there are people out there that's what they wake up to do every single day, is to defraud somebody and to take somebody's hard-earned money and put it into their pocket.
Yeah, look at the NBA.
Oh, don't get me going there.
No, but really, this has become an industry.
Yes.
Fraud is an industry now. It is a big business. It's not necessarily in the United States, but foreign countries. They look aside. When you have $16 billion that you're stealing from other people, you can pay off political figures.
Yep.
You can bribe people. They overlook it because they're getting a piece of the pie.
Right.
And once that money's gone, that's typically where it's going, overseas, and then it gets
so they turn their back and
well, not going to hold you to facts just from your knowledge, okay, because we want to make sure we stay within the rules of the industry. Mm-hmm. But how do you guys know the procedure of how to get that money back? Is it even possible to get that money back? I mean, is there a resource on how to get that money back?
As an escrow agent, what we're going to tell you to do first, as soon as we know, again, timing is crucial. It needs to be within roughly 72 hours is what they say, the FBI suggested time frame. Talk to us first, then we're going to, reach out to the local police department. You're going to look out to the FBI, and they also have a national site to where you can report it as well. And the FBI is involved. It is not a local matter.
So is it, and I've never had to call the FBI before, I don't think, but is it a phone that's answered, or is it a recording? Do you get somebody 24 hours a day? Do you know how that works?
Or does the local police take care of contacting
It's
people?
above and beyond the local police precinct.
So it sounds like to me it's a hotline that is manned, and that's that big of a problem.
Yes.
Okay. And I would love to tell you that, and we don't try to get political on this show, but I'd love to tell you that fraud doesn't exist in politics, but unfortunately around the world, I'm sure it does. So it's something that we all have to think about.
That's a huge part of what supports it.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, really?
Are the political figures. Absolutely.
Wow.
It's bribery. I'll slip a little bit in your pocket. You pretend that you don't know what's happening, and I'm going to have millions and billions of dollars running through the country. And then they own the
politician at that point.
Absolutely.
My goodness. So let's talk Arizona. Is it really a big problem in Arizona? I mean, come on.
It's a problem everywhere. Doesn't matter where you are. I mean, it doesn't matter where you're located.
And so
the Attorney General in Arizona, at least from what we pulled up earlier, has gone after multiple people just in the last year. Not people necessarily, but groups of people or fraud schemes that are happening.
Before we came in here, we kind of Googled most recent cases just to kind of see. And what Matt's talking about is the Attorney General sued somebody and somebody else for running a scam that tricked vulnerable homeowners, particularly the elderly, into signing over their deeds. Just signing over their deeds. Mm-hmm. Here you go. I mean, not that reverse mortgage is a fraudulent thing at all, but boy, that would be a way to
to
go after a
Mm-hmm.
demographic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know some younger people that I could know would fall for some kind of email and that transfer, because you hit it right on, Gretchen, when you said because they don't check past the first step. And if we can get everybody...
It's so normal.
Right.
for them to do transactions.
Digital
online.
signatures. How many clients do you know, which you're not?
But they still don't do. You guys still don't do digital.
Well, we're going to talk
signatures.
Ron here
We
in
do.
a minute.
You do.
We do.
But what I'm saying is on our end, right? How many times does the client just click, 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 and they've signed everything without reading it? Okay.
Yeah, hopefully not.
This is where you digital signatures for an offer or for a buy or sell offer that you should go sit down in front of your people in person.
Or Zoom.
Yeah, or Zoom.
present.
Go over the document and present it. I think that technology has taken away that. I think a lot of people just take offers and just send them out for signature and just send them there. And so we're missing the gap of education.
And we do try to sit down and meet with everybody or do a Zoom, and it's not always. It feels almost like we're taking away their valuable time, even though it's so important. It's like, oh, this is taking so long.
If you have not sat down with John Smith for an hour and a half going over a purchase contract, you're in for a treat.
Yeah.
Okay. and I learned that early on. I was dealing with another agent that was working with me, and she goes, "What's taking you so long? I can explain that contract in 15 minutes." Well, at that time, the district manager of the office that we're in rolls by and goes, "What's going on here?" And we explained it, and he said, "Well, how would you like to be standing in front of the judge and say, well, how long did it take you to explain that contract and educate your consumer?" "Oh, 15 minutes. "How long did it take you?" "An hour and a half." Yeah. And then they said, "Well, which one do you think the judge is going to side with?" Right. Because your consumer deserves the education that you should be providing, whether they want to hear it or not. Absolutely. It should be a requirement of your business to sit down in person, go over paperwork. You know, if you,
that's what people are paying for.
Exactly.
Right.
If you've done a couple offers and they're starting to get comfortable and having a conversation, that is up to the client at that point.
No, I get if you've done 5 offers in 4 days trying to get a house and you don't get it. I get maybe not going over every single line with that person again. Obviously anything that changed in the contract needs to be discussed, but the details of it or the default of the contract that we use probably doesn't need to be.
But whose choice is that, right?
It's the consumer.
It's the consumer. Sure. Hey, I know we've written 5 contracts, sat down 5 times. Do you want me to go over it again? You're probably going to hear, no, not really. Mm-hmm. Okay, right. But you gave them that choice to go over. Right. Okay, so there's things. It starts in preaching wire fraud, preaching deed fraud, and putting it out there as much as you possibly can is some type of prevention.
Absolutely.
Better than nothing at all. The little pictures on the bottom of your emails, you hope somebody reads it one time. Okay? You hope they see it. It's just all of us trying to say, hey, flag up.
Yeah, if we're mentioning it that many times and it's right. in our email signatures and it's all over the transaction, you would think that somebody would want to make sure that they understood that. But even I didn't realize how big dollar the problem is. I mean, I knew it was a big problem, but I didn't realize it was just billions and billions and billions of dollars.
So we have wire fraud, which is going after the money.
Yes.
And then we have deed fraud that is going after the property. But in turn, it's kind of the same because they're trying to sell the property that's not theirs, and in turn,
it eventually would turn into wire fraud.
Right. Actually, it would probably be just both.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as how the FBI would classify it, it would be classified as wire fraud and identity fraud.
Identity theft.
Yes, that when you're dealing with deed fraud, that is identity theft.
Wow. Which nobody really thinks of, right? That the two would go together, but it makes total sense because if all of a sudden AI puts your mug on my face, then I can sell your house.
Yeah, I guess.
Got to get the wife to go along with it, but hey,
Make sure I keep a mortgage on it.
Exactly. Well, keeping a mortgage on it, does it prevent it?
I think it helps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's a whole other ballgame.
Because
you're dealing with a third party, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
On a completely different level.
So they would probably steer clear of those just for that simple fact that there's another set of eyes that are looking at it.
So that's why they attack land a lot.
Yeah.
Because
it's quick and easy.
There's no structure, nobody's living on it.
Right.
Sometimes people forget about it. I mean, I hate to say it, they just pay taxes and keep paying taxes and forget about a piece of land they don't have.
Right.
And then next thing you know, people are crawling all over your property because they want to buy it and it's not for sale. Yeah. So I did ask a little bit about, is there insurance that you know of, and you don't have to comment it if you don't know, but is there an insurance policy that covers wire fraud, deed fraud?
Well, This is why we get title insurance. And when you work with a great company who is strong, like First American Title.
So you've got all these public records out there, many of which have signatures, many of which have personal information. It's just a matter of somebody doing a little bit of homework. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so perfect scenario, how do we build a moat around the castle? In other words, how do we protect ourselves?
A lot of it happens through emails. So read your emails, look at who is sending the emails, read the substance of the email for any minor details that are unsure. If they write a little odd, call them to make sure that what is being written in that email is actually accurate. So number one was read your emails. Number two, maintain good cyber hygiene. Make sure you have a strong password, update your computer. When received emails that seem suspicious, do not click on any emails. And be aware of threats. As AI is being employed by the bad guys to commit fraud. And spoofing and phishing was the top complaint in 2024 with 193,407 reports filed. That's from the FBI 2024 Internet Crime Report. But that's when they fish in to your emails and try and get you to start clicking on certain things where then they can take over and read everything that's going on in your transaction and know the specific dates of closing. And
phishing is exactly what it sounds like.
yes.
Throw a hook in the water, hope somebody bites.
Yeah, exactly.
Spoofing is what?
Spoofing it's similar.
Sending an email that looks like it's from somebody else.
Yeah.
So
you have
that's
to hover
impersonation of the transaction.
hover on where is it from. Look at those specific letters.
Look at their email.
The email.
you just gave one of the best tips, and it's an amazing thing.
Yes.
Okay, and I want to make sure we make it kind of clear. Take your mouse and
Yes.
hover over
Hover,
any
yes.
link. And then what that does is opens up the source of who actually
Yes.
sent it. And if it doesn't match the title or where you
Mm-hmm.
think it's coming from, stop.
And
Yes.
the email the same way.
And at the end of the day, when in doubt, go back to your real estate agent and ask for the contact information of the escrow officer that you're working with or the person from the title company and go straight in that way. Don't click on anything that's in that email. Don't call back a phone number from that email. Go back to the original source of how you were introduced to that title company
So
from the very
make
beginning.
direct contact yourself.
Exactly.
So I can speak for Gretchen because I've done business with her for years. Your escrow officer is probably one, at least for Gretchen, I can say is probably one of the most friendliest person out there and approachable, right? So if a client had a question or a client needed some clarification, I've never seen anybody make themselves available to some of the clients that I've had. So the key thing is getting a relationship with the right escrow officer. And I'm talking in the industry, in real estate agents, that they need to know who they're doing business with.
The whole team.
The whole
Absolutely.
team, not just
The whole
because if all of a sudden this mysterious title company pops up or this mysterious escrow pops up, you kind of want to do some homework on them. You don't want to just sign the deal. Let's see who they are, where they're from, because there's times where they'll pop up without a state or in a different city totally, and you don't have as much recourse. I know that I could walk next door, which is where your office is located, and say, I've got a problem. Can you help me? And if you don't have that type of relationship with your escrow officer, you probably should get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because they're a key part of your team, right? And you're a key part of the team to help prevent these things.
You're dotting the I's and crossing the T's from the time it goes under contract to the time it closes. We follow along with that, but you're more directly involved in that particular part of it. We're handling the transactional pieces on the outside, so inspections and negotiations and things like that. But you're actually getting background information, payoff information. You're getting the right people to that transaction so that it closes smoothly. So it is a whole team effort that needs to happen to try to protect the consumer in this particular case.
So you guys have a title company as well, correct? First American Title, obviously.
First American, we do title and escrow.
Yes, okay. And then Signature Title is our partner here as well. So the title portion of it is the issuer of the policy, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But you use Signature Title too, no?
We do.
Yeah, they work.
We
You
do.
guys work with everybody
We're all-
across the
Just want to
board.
make sure since it's
Yeah, that's why I was reading it. Now, do they have any liability there? Or is that's actually where the liability sits because they may have not done research properly?
As far as deed issues or clear title to the property, they are the ones doing the behind-the-scene research.
Okay.
That's where that's coming
because
from.
they're ensuring that title is clear at close.
Right. The escrow portion, we are handling the funds. We are the neutral third party that's reading the black and white that's on the contract and making sure that that's followed through from beginning to end.
So if you see what you perceive as fraud, let's just say, my name's John Smith, okay? And you see it's John A. Smith. If you see a John B. Smith come through and it's for my house and it's made it through title, are you the last stop before the scammers get us?
I mean, I look at it, my coworkers look at it, assistants, our recording desk looks at it, Pima County will look at it again before it goes through. There's a lot.
It should
It
be.
should be caught.
But who's exposed if the money gets sent out in the wrong direction? So in other words, if wire fraud does take place, everybody missed the red flags, the money is sent off to China.
Depends on who sends it, right? I mean, that's what you're saying.
Where the money,
If
it's
the
already,
consumer sends it, the consumer's ultimately responsible.
And I'm not trying to back
for
you in
it.
a corner.
But how does that? Well, I guess you haven't even closed by the time that happens, and you're not likely to close the transaction. Therefore, the title policy wouldn't have kicked in and covered that at that point. So it's before that would kick in. That happens at closing or recordation of the deed, right?
right.
That's when that policy would start. So really, it's if somebody loses their entire down payment, it's not likely that they're even going to complete the transaction where anything would protect them.
No, I think what I'm talking about is if the money gets sent out to be paid to a seller upon closing, and the transfer of the funds go to the wrong direction. That's kind of what I'm talking about. That may not be a case that's ever happened.
No, we have a responsibility to the consumer to verify instructions before we release funds, and we have a protocol in place, especially at First American, multiple steps to make sure that money is going to end up where it's supposed to.
It's so important to follow the instructions of our secure system. Sometimes people, as consumers, they don't want to have to sign into the secure system. But that's why we
everything
need,
you send is encrypted.
Exactly. Right. And that's why we need to always have that conversation from the real estate agents that are in those transactions to explain how important it is. It's to protect them. It's to protect everybody in the transaction and to ensure that we have
it might be a pain
close.
in the butt to have to sign in again to get an
backward,
email or get
many steps
a
forward.
document, but it is for their own protection and their own benefit.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like the real estate agent's at the front line and they're the first stop. And if we can educate our clients at the first stop over and over again until they totally understand it, it may never get to a second stop. It may not get to where it's out of control. I think we are all in this together. I think it's a battle that we're all going to have to fight. It's only going to get tougher. I do believe somebody will come out with an insurance policy that can be bought. Maybe
It will be expensive.
It will be expensive, but maybe I'll come up with it. I don't know. But I do think that somebody will sell that. It's bound to happen. But where I'm going is that it's not only our responsibility to educate the consumer, it's the responsibility of the consumer to educate themselves. Okay, they need to understand. We like to say that we want to make somebody feel like they're the most educated buyer or seller that ever comes out of a transaction. We want them to do research. We want them to follow up. If we say something wrong, we want them to call us out because that means, hey, I've been wrong before. I'm sure I've been wrong at this table today. But we're not perfect, but we strive to be perfect. So participate in your own transaction. Do your own research. Let me provide you where to do that research. Learn, and walk out of there thinking you could be a real estate agent.
And I think the bottom line ultimately is, reach out to people that are on your team on the transaction. That is probably the most important piece anybody can take from this as a consumer is those are people that obviously you have already entrusted with the largest transaction you're probably going to make to that date. Make sure that you don't take that lightly, but use those people who have access to that transaction to make sure that there's no fraudulent behavior that's happening where you could get, absolutely ruined.
Heather, let's go back and review your most favorite stat that you gave us today before we go.
Oh boy, let's see here. Well, I think it's just, I think the most jaw-dropping is that in 2024, we had 16.6 billion in fraud losses, which was a 33% increase from 2023. That's FBI's 2024 Internet Crime Report. But that number is just going to keep growing.
So that's
Unrecoverable.
Unrecoverable,
That's a
33%
loss.
increase in 1 year.
That's a loss, yep.
And it's only going to get worse.
Yep.
Well, listen, again, thank you to Heather. Thank you to Gretchen. You guys are amazing. We appreciate everything that you do for our clients every single day.
Thank
The
you.
nice thing about this team is even if it is not their deal, they will still support us and they will still educate us. And that is why we use Gretchen. Okay, because all you have to do is use her once, and you'll never use anybody ever again.
Thank you.
She is great.
She is great. So listen, I'm John with the Real Estate Rumble. That is Matt. See you later.